So, no, when I first met you, you were introduced to me as the Pied Piper of chess. Since then, you've dedicated yourself for the last 40 years to the Scholastic teaching of chess and done that through the National Scholastic Chess Foundation. What was your original motivation for creating the foundation?
So there are different ways to approach the teaching of chess. And so what I found was that the philosophy of teaching within the chess world was pretty much the same. They approached every situation the same. And I felt that there was a need to redefine, to change the philosophy somewhat so that you stress different aspects of the game when you are teaching in the curriculum, say, as opposed to outside the curriculum.
I think most people kind of think of chess as a material game, battle based on material. I think you look at chess as having a lot more dimensions to it. Maybe you could spend a couple minutes and talk about what those dimensions are.
Well, I think, on the basic level, people understand force of the power, right? So you attribute different powers to different pieces. And what you discover very quickly is that the power of a piece is contingent on the position. And so absolutes never work. You can have a piece that is more or less than its given value. And so understanding that from a very young age, I think, is important because it gives you a certain flexibility of thought.
One of the things that you've been working with, and I know you worked with Will on, is Scholastic chess, where it's need blind. Anybody can participate, and it's not a case of economics. It's available. You got some of the schools where are going from kindergarten through fifth grade.
So typically, when you have an after a school provider, they will charge money for something, but depending on the community you're in, not everybody can afford it. So the school district was very keen on making sure that nobody would be quote unquote left behind. So Will is the one who was the architect of this policy. He came up with this idea, and I wasn't sure it would work, but we tried it, and it's worked for 3 years.
How do you see, and what does chess do for the kids outside of chess and for their life?
Well, I think chess is a tremendous help in learning life skills. It's a way of handling situations, and you learn to handle situations. In fact, I think Will spoke at one of our fundraisers about when he gets into complex negotiations, and if things go wrong, it doesn't throw him for a loop because nothing ever went right during a game of chess. So he's used to it, right? I mean, I had never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's something that's, there are so many different skills that you can learn. And it's this, what I call soft skills, that are transferable. And I think that they represent the greatest value.
You mentioned Will Trepp. Will attributes a very large percent of his success and his ability to run the company and to negotiate. He contributes a huge percent of that to having played chess, both in terms of decision-making as well as time controls.
Oh, yes. I mean, time management, what is standardized test taking if it's not time management? You can answer questions perfectly and have no time for the rest. You fail the test. So you learn that sometimes you cannot be 100% sure of something. You have to go with your gut. You have to trust your judgment. And in the interest of time, make a decision. You double check, you triple check, you quadruple check, you keep going back and wasting time, and you end up making the same decision anyway. So at some point you have to cut bait. You have to make a decision, say, look, I'm going with this. I trust my judgment.
Rumor has it that every once in a while you've done some writing of some books. Maybe you might want to describe that just a bit.
Yeah, so I have 2 books out. The first one came out in '93. It's called Best Lessons of a Chess Coach. So anyway, that got published, and it was very successful as far as chess books go. Mm-hmm. And the other one was my history book. So I did a book called, along with Robert McClellan and Alan Abrams.
Right.
It's called Great Moves, Learning Chess Through History. So it was the history of chess, because chess is full of really fascinating stories. The book stands alone as a history book, or it can stand alone as a chess instructional book. Together, I think it's very powerful.
What were some of the bigger challenges in terms of the development of the NSCF?
I think the biggest challenge has been to convince both educators and parents that there's a value to this game that goes beyond the game itself. And, once they buy into that notion, then it's very easy. But there's a lot of hesitation at first because they don't see it. It's not a game where there's a show of some kind of activity, right? It's what is happening inside your head. So you somehow have to bring that out. You have to bring it out of somebody's head and onto a screen, so to speak, so that other people can see the process that's going on. And that's the challenge. To be able to do that well is not easy.
Yeah, you've had as many as 3,000 or 4,000 kids in the program at the same time in a year for Scholastic chess.
Yes, I would say that's accurate. Look, there's chess all over New York City. Every new charter school, they're all doing chess. All the leading private schools are doing chess. The leading public schools are doing chess, but it all started at Hunter because we were the trailblazer. I mean, we showed that it could be done, and then people followed.
In terms of your students over time, order of magnitude, how many national championships have you probably won?
Just counting first places, maybe around 200.
That's a lot. And that probably does not include the results of your two sons. What do you attribute that to in terms of your coaching?
Well, in terms of the coaching, I think the key is to understand the player. You can never coach two people the same way. And if you try to do that, you're bound to fail. So the first thing I do is try to understand the player, and then I tailor whatever I tell them to, what they need to do. And I think I've been very successful with that.
The National Scholastic Chess Foundation has got a number of programs. Talk a little bit about that. Those are different programs, community programs.
Yeah, there are again different approaches you can take. One is a school-based program, but I think the most effective programs are community-based programs where you have a buy-in from different parts of the community. So this all started with what the NSCF did in the mid-90s in the South Bronx. That's when I had junior high school 45. I remember Rob Johnson, who was the board president at the time, and he said, I would like to sponsor a program. Why don't you go and interview a bunch of schools and see, where the money would be best spent? So I went to 4 schools, and then I called him up and I said, I think this school would be good because you'll have support from the inside. But in order for that program to have worked as well as it did, it needed somebody on the inside, a local community point person. And we had such a person in this particular teacher who was, also part of the community. And he was able to sort of galvanize the community around this idea. So then we went the extra step. What we did was we had parent classes in the evenings. We sent free chess sets to all the kids in the district. And then, I turned around and I told the kids, well, we're giving you all this for free. You got to give something back. And that's when we sent them into the senior citizen homes and so forth. And it was really remarkably successful.
What has the relationship with the Treps done to you over the last years?
Well, I get a good meal every once in a while. No, but really, it's been great. It's not always I get to work with 3 generations of the same family, it's right? True. It's you and Richard and Will and now Felix, right? I would say the value of, say, a relationship with, say, your family, for example, is that you have seen the value of what chess can do.
I've lived it, experienced it. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's why I have been able to to work with the different generations. So to me, that shows that whatever I did had been successful, and to me that's that's especially rewarding on a personal level.
No, that's everything aside. That is tremendous, and that should make you feel extremely good. Last thought is people that are interested in the chess, how can they help? And as forums in terms like you said earlier, supporting within the community, within the school, or supporting financially.
We have a certain consciousness, social consciousness, I would say, right? It's not just a question of going and trying to make money by doing a chess program somewhere, but we will spend the money and take it to a community that needs it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's extremely important, and any support like that would be greatly appreciated, because what I would like to do is to take it to all the underserved communities, so to be able to take something to them and say, hey, we'll give you so much, can you match this, and or will you take over part ownership of this, and we'll bring a program to your community. I think something like that can be done through organizations such as ours, such as NSCF.
And in terms of just outright contributions, I think there's a place on the website that
yes, you can go to the donate button and donate too. And if you wish to earmark your money for a particular type of activity, that can be done as well. It's not like we have one size fits all. I think just like the same way that I evaluate a student when I coach and see what I feel that student needs, we would do the same thing for a community and see what that community needs and what would serve them best, and then we can come up with a program that's appropriate.
Thank you.